Hello! Before we start, it's Context John. I'm going to give context to what you're going to see here. So I've had my partner's little sister Bethan with me this week for work experience, and she's been learning a ton of stuff. But I thought we'd give her more exposure by talking to someone in a totally different field in this industry, but still in the industry. So here's a conversation with me, Bethan, and Skye Deva Bennett, the voice of Pyra Mythra, and you also may know her music from Deva St John. Anyway, here we go! Hey Skye, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How you doing, John?
Yeah, not doing bad. I'm here for work experience with Roxy's little sister, Bethan, and we've been doing a bunch of stuff this week. She's been learning how to use editing tools like Photoshop and a bunch of other stuff.
Cool.
But I think my perspective and way of life probably isn't that relatable to yours, Bethan. So I wanted to bring in someone else who maybe has more similarities with you, who is Skye Bennett. So Skye, can you tell us a bit about you and like what you do, what you've done, just your life in general?
My life in general. I've sort of worn a couple of hats. I started my career as a kid doing acting, and I've actually only recently, like literally within the last week, decided to step away from it. But I still do voice acting, but the sort of face acting side of it, I don't know, I've just become very jaded and tired, and at least want to take a break for the summer. But I had a lot of success when I was younger and throughout my teens, and I kept on with it throughout my early 20s, but I was sort of thinking I really was into music. Like I just had this niggling feeling in the back of my mind, like, oh, if I don't ever do that, if I don't ever release that song or play that show, it's always gonna sort of be at the back of my mind. Like, what would have happened if I did that? And it was only really until I was 23 that I actually sort of gathered the sort of confidence to do it, and the funds. I started voice acting a couple of years prior, and was in this game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is how I met you, John. And I live streamed it with the view to any income I got throughout the stream, half of it would go to like a art fund, you know, that I would use it to record songs and music videos and, you know, whatever, and half of it would go to the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, because I have cystic fibrosis and it's a cause that means a lot to me. And the stream was massively successful, far more so than I anticipated. And so I started releasing music from then, and genuinely off the back of my first show, I was hooked. I was like, why did it take me this long to do this? I fucking love this. I've just been doing that since, and in the three years that I've been doing it, 3 or 4 years now, I've felt more like myself, and like I'm actually, you know, on the right path that best aligns with who I am. And yeah, that's kind of a nutshell version of my life up to this point.
I think right now, Bethan, you're probably feeling like a lot of people are coming to you and asking, like, what do you want to do? Like, where's your future going? And when I was your age, when I was 15, I didn't know. I sort of did things that I thought would make my parents happy. So I took like courses like computing and things because they could lead to a valuable career, but I didn't know what I was doing. And many people don't really find their passion until later in life. Skye, she was just saying she was 23 when that all started. And people start way later, like people in their 30s, sometimes in their 40s. Obviously, ideally you want to find something earlier, but that doesn't always happen.
That's what your 20s are for, you know. It's unreasonable to ask somebody who's 15, who's barely even tasted adulthood, to decide what you want to do for the next 50, 60 odd years, you know. It's crazy. And still, like, I'm thinking of going to... I sort of avoided university like the plague when I was your age. I was like, there's no way I'm going to uni. It's a waste of money. Everything I want to do, I can just do. I am actually thinking of going to school next year because for ages I've been thinking about music production and engineering. And I feel like it's kind of like higher education is kind of like a tattoo. If you've been thinking about it for 1 year, 1 to 3 years or whatever, and it's in the back of your mind like, oh, you know, I am interested in learning that or having some kind of, you know, I wonder how I would enrich my experience if I did have that sort of bedrock of knowledge. And I'm 27 now, And I'm thinking, well, it's been about 10 years. Maybe I should do that. But yeah, like just to reiterate what you were saying, John, I'm 27 and I'm only now thinking that seems like something I would be good at and something I'm interested in.
Is that a fear for you at all, Bethan? Like when people say to you, like, what do you want to do? Do you know what to answer?
No, not really, because there's been so many different paths that I've been like over the years. That would be so cool to be able to do that. But it's also a reality check as well with some of the things. And it's definitely a big fear because when they ask, you're just like, oh, not a clue in the world.
Reality check's interesting because like, I didn't think what I do could be a job. Because when I was a teenager, I would make like dumb little videos about games. I never had the intention of making that a career path. But it can be. A lot of what you love doing can become a career. Like Skye loves music and she's currently a musician. That's just how things can go. And it's a tough balance because obviously there is realistic expectations and your passion. They can become entwined. You can follow what you love and that can become a career. So I wouldn't ever say like don't follow your dreams because you absolutely should.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's so easy these days as well, you know, with all the resources that are out there and how accessible, you know, so many people in any field you're interested in is, you know. And one thing, like you don't have to commit to one thing. Because I always thought, if I try to do the four things that I'm passionate about, I will be kind of like a jack of many trades, but a master of none. And you sort of learn as you go that because, you know, creative industries are so intertwined, you sort of become a master of each craft at the same time, you know, rather than kind of only half know. I mean, that's why I want to go to school, to fill in the sort of gaps in my knowledge, because a lot of it's sort of technical and I don't have the money to buy, you know, a big mixing desk and a £1,000 mic, you know, but having a sort of studying in a working environment is appealing to me, but not to everyone. I mean, there are tons of bedroom producers. I could easily do it without spending the money. There's numerous different ways of pursuing your passions if you have many.
Like, obviously, Skye, you've had a bunch of different opportunities. That you've been a voice actress, you've done Twitch streams and things. You're a musician now. How did the opportunity to become a voice actress come up? Because I know you've done stuff in the past, but you got a Nintendo gig when you were around, was that around 23, 24?
I think I was 22 when we recorded that, yeah. Well, again, I think a lot of my career has been a mix of hard work and luck. It's, you know, taking the most of every lucky opportunity, I guess. So I got that because I met my voice agent through my ex-agent, and it was probably the best thing that particular agent ever did for my career, was introduce me to a different agent. But yeah, it was good. It was fun. It literally was just an audition. It was a phone call, and I went to a studio in London, and they were casting several different roles. I guess my USP was the fact that my whole family's American, so I can pull out, you know, an American accent out my back pocket, and that's oddly rare in London, because most American actors are over in LA. But yeah, that was the gig, and we sort of set up a couple of sessions throughout the early part of 2017, I think, because it came out in like December 2017, didn't it?
Right.
But I think we recorded earlier that year, like February, March.
Does that sound like quite far-fetched to you, Bethan? Just get a gig and land it and then go? Because that is often how it goes. Like, it isn't always just this huge process. Like, Skye met the right person, and then... At
the right time, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the amount of auditions I've had and not heard a single thing back, you know, and the amount of jobs that I've booked and nothing has come of them. It really just depends on the time, the place, the job. I can't tell you how many... Like, for all the successes I've had many, like 10 times the amount of failures. So I think that's my biggest advice to anyone who's entering any creative industry, or just, I guess, just life in general, not necessarily a creative industry, but your successes will be riddled and created out of hundreds and thousands of failures. And you just kind of have to learn how to let it roll off your back and think, right, well, that was a thing. It would have been nice, but it didn't happen. On to the next thing, you know. It's got nothing, it doesn't reflect me or my ability or who I am as a person, you know. It's just wrong place, wrong time, not the job for me. I'll try this instead, or, you know.
Yeah, everyone grows. Like, I think most people, when they start off, probably aren't great at what they do. Like, when I started doing this stuff, like just recording and things, I actually had like a stutter when I was around like 11 to 12, and it still comes out every now and then. But just sort of practicing my voice and speaking and recording and getting to like really like harness it, it got rid of it. And like in general life, I don't really stutter that much anymore because of, I guess, how I've learned to train my voice a bit more. And I think that's what a lot of people go through. Like, when it comes to acting, you learn your range, you learn exactly what you can do and what you can't do. And Bethan, like, you've been learning Photoshop, which they don't teach you in school right now. And that's probably a skill that a lot of people your age don't have, and it's a very important skill for many jobs. You started off not knowing much, but in like 2 days, you've been doing it on your own. You've been doing great with that.
Yeah, Photoshop's trial and error, and it's seemed to be something that I quite enjoy doing.
That's something you want to go into, photo editing and stuff.
More of the thing that I wanted to go into was editing would be part of it, but being my own influencer, being my own brand.
Totally.
Cool.
You know, you were looking through, I was showing like all my socials and everything earlier and how to sort of manage like larger accounts. One thing that came up just sort of scrolling through was like a lot of the people in my circles are white dudes. And that is just kind of how it is in my line of work. There are women, there are some great women who do great stuff, like Lady Pelvic's a brilliant woman who does stuff. There's Elise Willems who does brilliant stuff in my field. But it is prominently white guys. Skye, I know you've got a very different line of work to what I do in the same sort of industry at times, but what is your experience with that? Because I know you've done Twitch streams as well, so a lot of your audience, like, would you say it's the kind of crowd that it draws?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and even like the audience, there's significantly more men than women. I think it's just because many men tend to gatekeep the gaming community the wrong way. But I think, unfortunately, Bethan, you're in for a lot of people like that. But you just got to know that it's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You know, got nothing to do with you. It's or your talent or what your potential is. It's just, there are some old fucks in this world who don't get it yet. And the good news is a lot of people our age are starting to take control and, you know, open doors for other people. And I think, you know, Gen Z in particular are real trailblazers in that regard. So I do feel a lot of hope for you and people of your age. It's just, for now, you know, for now it's a bit of a bummer, but that's why we're happy with people like John, who are super inclusive and super cool.
Yeah. There are lots of women who do play games. Like, if you look at like surveys or anything, it's usually like a 50-50 split. But I think as Skye was saying, it's gatekeeping. A lot of them don't want to make their voice heard because I guess they've had bad experiences doing so. And when you're so front-facing, I guess you're open to a lot of just insults and criticism, a lot of it unwarranted. But that said, I think there's still lots of great potential for you. Is that a concern though? Because I can't really put my voice in this conversation because it's not about me.
It kind of sucks a lot because like when you try to talk about it with other people, like wanting to go into that industry, it's very much sort of closed off in that way, especially for younger girls as well, because they're sort of, all of their friends, especially like their guy friends, all play games. But if you were to go onto like a stream with a guy playing games, it's all very much like they're better just because they are a guy. So it's definitely a concern, but I think like our sort of generation have been trying to push it out of it being normalized like that. So there is a lot of hope for it though.
Did you have any questions for Skye? I know you noticed some down earlier, but anything you wanted to ask?
I think she answered most of them. I think one of the main ones was like, what was the biggest thing you felt that you accomplished?
That's a great question. I mean, there's a lot of what I view now as superficial stuff, I could say, like, you know, X number of views here, or, you know, this amount of money here. But honestly, I think the biggest achievement so far has been releasing the need for my life to pan out the way it's been played in my head. When I was a teenager, I thought, I'm going to do this by the time I'm this age, I'm going to do this by the time I'm this age, and if not, I'm a total failure and I'll just kill myself, like. But as I've gotten older and life has panned out differently, not in a bad way, just in a different way, I have released the sort of anxieties that I had when I was younger and desperate need for success and or at least monetary success or, anything like that, which if I said that to myself as a 15-year-old, the 15-year-old me would think you're a loser and nothing worked out, It is funny how you change, as you get older and how your priorities change. Things are still going well, I'm earning good money doing what I'm passionate about. And, I'm in a relationship that is going really well. I have a great relationship with my friends and family. That, to me, is success because it wasn't always like that, I had to work hard for the things that I now view as success. So I would probably say, the personal evolution I'm most proud of.
I think one of the hardest things you might face, Bethan, is just comparing yourself to other people. Because I had so many friends who were geniuses. One of my friends, he's a great guy. I love him. But he went on to just work at ITV. He left college and just got a job there. I was like, what? And he's earning great money, he's got a house and everything, and he's doing amazingly well. But at the same time, though, I feel like even though he did it so fast, which is amazing for him, I'm at a point where, I've got a great relationship, I've got a kid, and I'm really happy with what I'm doing. Comparing yourself to other people is always going to result in, it's just going to give you more anxiety, because it's not worth it. They're living their different life, and they probably have their own problems of their own that you aren't aware of. But always just follow your path, because it is going to do great. I do have a question for you, though, because you're leaving school very soon.
Yeah.
And what are you going to miss the most? Because I know when I was your age, I didn't exactly love school, but in retrospect, there are things that I miss. So, from your perspective, is there anything that you're going to miss?
Missing things about school would probably mostly be the environment of it. When you leave school, you haven't got the environment of it's relaxed and you can depend on other people. You have to be that independent person that you weren't before. And I feel like it's going to be fun and it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm still definitely going to miss the environment of having all my friends around and being a bit more dependent.
The friends thing is big. You see them every single day at school, and when you get older, that's not so much the case. But, if you're close with people, you'll still stick with them. It doesn't matter how often you see them, you'll still be friends. You said independence as well there. Is that something that kind of scares you? Because you'll be leaving... I guess everything's sort of not being done for you, but a lot of it is kind of taken care of by your parents and everything like that. Is that a scary thing to sort of go off and do it on your own?
Yeah, independence is definitely a scary aspect of life, but it's one of them things where you do things and you learn from it, and in the end, most things will work out how they're meant to be, and gaining independence is one of them fun things where you just get to be able to do whatever you want and be able to understand who you are as a person and actually gain your own personality, whereas when you're younger, your personality is based off of being dependent on other people and what they're like and how they help you in life.
You learn how you like things that you like how I get up in the morning and go to bed and how I fill my day with things. It's cool to. And with the whole friend thing, even if you discover that the people that you had, what I learned was the friends that I had at school, the only real thing we had in common was we went to school together. And as soon as I left school and I started meeting other people in the sort of fields and interests that were similar to mine, you think, oh man, how did I ever think that I would never make friends or I would never relate to anyone? You just end up get back what you put out, I suppose. So if you're kind of giving out authentic vibes, this is who I am, take me or leave me, then those sorts of people will be attracted to you. Leaving school is so scary, but it's so exciting, because as you said, you're really going to find out who you are and the sort of people that should be in your life.
Do you feel right now, Bethan, that you're an introvert or an extrovert?
I think I'm a bit of a weird mix. It's when I'm comfortable with people and who's around, I can be very out there and very comfortable. But usually to begin with, I'm quite shy and quite quiet towards people.
You will. I think that will definitely develop as you get more independence. I'm also a mix of both, I'd say. Like, I definitely have a lot of introverted aspects, but when it comes to like groups that I'm comfortable with, I think that can definitely get more extroverted. But I take a little bit to adjust to new groups, I think, and that's something I've always had. But you definitely like grow that ability as you become more yourself, which you will do. As you get your independence. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to ask Skye?
I think the only other thing that I really had that you hadn't answered was, when you were younger and you were leaving school, did you ever see yourself doing something completely different to what you're doing now?
Yeah, I thought that I would just keep it the acting thing, because like I've been in a relationship with a musician since I was 15 actually, and we're still together. But because he was a musician and sort of pursuing it, it didn't really feel like my thing. Like I didn't want to do it because it was like, when I say it now, it seems stupid, but at the time I thought, well, it's his thing. I won't sort of do his thing. But acting stopped making me happy a really long time ago. If I said to 15-year-old me that what I'm doing now, I'd probably be shocked but excited, because it's always something that I've been thinking about. And I think if there's something you're thinking about doing like right now, just pursue it. Like even if it's like something that's in the back of your mind that you don't think is possible for you, just do it. Just go for it, because I don't know if it sounds like you're doing your thing. I mean, is the editing thing a real passion? Do you have other passions?
I think I've got like quite a wide range of different things I love doing.
What are they?
Doing things like makeup has always been like a big passion of mine, which is what I would probably go into doing, something like that, maybe even having my own channel of makeup artists and stuff like that. But I've also had quite a passion for being able to help other people. So I've always wanted to teach English in a different country who they don't have the ability to be able to speak English. So that was another big passion of mine.
They're amazing passions.
That's very cool. Well, those are super achievable goals, You don't have to pick one, I guess. It's a big takeaway that I wish someone had told me, You do not have to pick one thing. You can do all of it. And I think the way people get really successful financially is when you've got, your fingers in many pies and you've got this thing going on. And then the metaphor I like is sort of spinning plates. So at first you're sort of doing this and you're trying to make them all work. But eventually they gain their own momentum and they start spinning independently, and you can just sort of chill out. And they're fine, you can maintain them, but you don't have to work to keep them going. They just, you work hard enough at the sort of get-go and they look after themselves. But having sort of one spinning plate, it's gonna, if it smashes, that's all you've got. So I think it's cool that there's a lot of things you want to do, and I would love to see you try them all.
Totally. Yeah, they're really, really great goals. And never be embarrassed of them either. Because when I was in school, I wouldn't have told a teacher that I want to do a career in games, because I thought that would have sounded juvenile or something. And I can imagine maybe the same sort of feeling occurs when you tell them about your passion for makeup, but don't let that ever come up, because it's a very achievable goal and a very realistic one too. Always seek your goals. All right, well, I think that's probably about it. Is there anything else you want to say, Bethan, before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, well, Skye, thanks so much for your time. It's always great talking to you.
It was lovely to talk to you guys.
I just think you're a great inspiration for a lot of people of Bethan's age, because you
you
have done many different things, and you've achieved so much. And just thank you for taking your time with us.
I appreciate the kind words. Thank you, and take care. Good luck. I can't wait to hear all about it.